How are you feeling today? Listen, what I'm about to say may make half the internet furious, but someone has to say it because there's something happening right before our eyes. And no one dares to admit it. Men are not afraid of love. They're afraid of losing everything for loving the wrong person. Have you noticed? Today we see intelligent, successful, kind men with looks, with careers, sitting alone in their quiet apartments year after year. Not because they can't love, but because they no longer believe love is a safe place to entrust their lives to. The world is witnessing a strange paradox. Those who have everything worth sharing no longer have anyone to share it with. And if you think I'm exaggerating, ask yourself this. When was the last time you saw a truly happy couple under 35? I'm not talking about those happy Instagram photos. I'm talking about real peace, that kind of gaze that makes you believe they are exactly where they belong. Can't remember? Neither can I. Because perhaps we are living in a time when loneliness is no longer something unusual, but the most rational choice. Not the choice of the weak, but of those who have come to understand too well the cost of giving their trust to the wrong person. And from here, the story begins. A journey to understand why the men of this era, those who have everything to love, choose silence, standing outside the game called love. There's something deeply ironic. While the whole world keeps talking about true love, the very people mature enough to love are quietly withdrawing one by one. Not because they are cold, not because they're afraid of being hurt, but because they've started calculating. Men today look at love the way they look at an investment contract. Emotional cost, time, effort, finances, and the return rate is almost zero. I have a cousin, 34 years old, tall, stable income, works out regularly, and confident in communication. It's been 3 years since he went on a single date. I asked, why? He gave a faint smile. Because every time I open a dating app, I feel like I'm submitting a job application, knowing I'll never meet the requirements. And then he told me more. On dating profiles, every woman looks like a strict job description. The ideal candidate must be over 1.85 the mere tall, in the top 5% income bracket, own a house, travel abroad every year, speak 3 languages, have a sense of humor, have six-pack abs, listen like a therapist, and be able to read women's emotions. After hearing that, I could only laugh, because in a world where love has turned into a recruitment checklist, who would dare step in, knowing they'd be rejected before even passing the screening round? More and more men are starting to realize it's better to live alone in peace than join a game whose outcome is already decided. They don't choose solitude out of fear. They choose it because it's the most rational choice. It's like when you see a car with a 70% chance of crashing off a cliff. You wouldn't call the person who decides to walk a coward. You'd call them sane. And that's exactly what's happening. A generation of men is waking up. One by one, they are quietly leaving the table, not because they hate love, but because they no longer believe in its chances of survival. The story isn't really just about men. It lies in the illusion an entire generation is living with. Because if you look long enough, you'll see many people no longer want to build love. They want to buy it. As if happiness were a luxury item and they themselves a premium brand that must never go on sale. I still remember a girl I met when she was 22. She worked in retail, shared an apartment with 3 friends, and had about $200 in her account. But when it came to her idea of the ideal man, she said, "He must own a house, drive a luxury car, earn 6 figures, travel abroad every year, and always have time to make me happy." I asked her, "And what do you bring to be worthy of all that?" She looked at me as if I had just insulted something sacred. "I'm the prize," she said. "The prize? For what? For existing. For simply being here? That is the sickness of our era. Everyone wants to be the prize, but no one wants to be the person worthy of someone else's prize. Society, social media, and cheap self-confidence coaches have convinced us that as long as you believe you're enough, you are. But believing and truly being enough are two different things. An old car doesn't become a Ferrari just because its owner slaps a prancing horse logo on it. And a person doesn't become more valuable just because they write, "I'm the prize" in their bio. And when too many people believe they are the center of the universe, that entire universe begins to shatter. No one wants to step down. No one wants to listen. No one wants to accept that love can only exist between two real people, not between two advertisements of themselves. So, in a world full of self-proclaimed prizes, love disappears because no one wants to be the one who chooses anymore. There was a time when men loved with everything they had. They believed in effort and believed that sincerity would be returned. They believed that if they were good enough, hardworking enough, patient enough, someone would eventually see them and love them for who they truly were inside. But then one day, they woke up. Not the kind of awakening filled with bitterness, but a quiet, cold, and deeply logical one. The awakening of a man who once gave everything to build a home, only to realize that home was never meant for him. They look around and see their friends crushed by divorces. Some lost their children, some lost their assets, some lost themselves. And every story began with the same sentence: "I just wanted to love the right person." And then they started asking, if a relationship can cost me my dignity, my money, and my peace, is it still love or just a negative investment? From that moment on, men stopped loving by instinct. They began to love through mathematics. They saw the probability of pain, the percentage of risk, and decided to withdraw their capital. Not because they stopped loving, but because they didn't want to go bankrupt again. Because in this era, love is no longer a refuge. It's a contract where the one who signs always loses. And when they choose silence, choose to leave the table, the world calls them cold, commitment phobic, and unmanly. But in truth, that is not weakness. It's the clarity of someone who once burned completely and was turned to ash. Like a man who once drowned in the sea, he doesn't hate the water. He simply learned that to survive, you must know how to stand on shore. The modern world is strange. It preaches fairness, equality, but when it comes to love, all the rules suddenly become one-sided. A woman can openly say, "I only date men over 180 meters tall who own a house and a car and have a stable income." And the crowd applauds, saying she knows her worth. But if a man says, "I prefer women who are fit, gentle, and take care of themselves," he's instantly condemned. You're shallow, toxic, and outdated. So in the same game, one side is allowed to choose, while the other is forced to accept and smile. We've gone too far in glorifying the right to demand, to the point we've forgotten that every choice has its limits. One side is allowed to say, "I deserve everything," while the other must constantly prove, "I'm good enough to be chosen." There are even studies showing that 80% of women rate 80% of men as below average. Sounds absurd, doesn't it? How can 80% be below average? Yet that's exactly how the dating market operates. A collective illusion where everyone believes they're the exception. People forget that in mathematics, average is a real number, but in love, everyone wants to be the top 1%. And so ordinary people, the kind, honest, hardworking ones who know how to love sincerely, suddenly become invisible. Not tall enough, not funny enough, not rich enough, not interesting enough, not enough spark, not enough of anything except themselves. And then, We wonder why the world feels so lonely, because in this game, everyone wants to be the evaluator. But no one wants to be the one who loves. Love is no longer a meeting between two hearts. It has become an interview, where everyone searches for the perfect candidate only to lose the real person standing right in front of them. There is a painful truth few dare to say out loud. Today, loving someone often feels like signing a contract in which the losing party is always the man. They pour in effort, money, emotions, and even their pride just to prove they're worthy. But in the end, what they often receive is a verdict. I once witnessed a lavish wedding worth nearly $100,000. Fresh flowers, glowing lights, a full orchestra, guests dressed to perfection. Everything was magnificent. But when the groom stood on stage, his eyes didn't reflect happiness. It was the gaze of a man signing a contract he already knew. He'd be the one paying the debt. The bride didn't look at him. She was busy taking pictures of the flowers, fixing her dress, and adjusting her selfie angles. During the entire ceremony, not once did she look at her husband with gratitude. And just 6 months later, divorce. She kept the ring, the photos, and the gifts. He kept the receipts and the emptiness. That story isn't an exception. It's the template of modern love. One side loves genuinely, the other curates an image. One gives, the other calculates. Love today feels like a business running at a loss. The man invests effort, care, and trust, only to receive in return responsibility, pressure, and sometimes contempt. He works 60 hours a week and pays for rent, a car, meals, dates, and is still told that it's just the bare minimum. Meanwhile, his grandfather once supported a whole family on a single income and was thanked with a hug and a warm meal. Today, you have to be a millionaire just to hear the words, "Thank you." Society says men must prove their worth, but what kind of worth is enough? In an age where kindness is seen as an obligation and devotion is labeled as weakness. People say men fear commitment. Wrong. They don't fear commitment. They fear committing to the wrong person. The wrong person, the wrong values, the wrong world. Because once you enter a relationship where your efforts are always seen as not enough, love becomes nothing more than an asset losing value by the day. And one day they realize the only thing that can truly protect them is not strength, but withdrawal. Here's something few people realize. Loneliness, which used to be a man's greatest fear, has now become his safest refuge. When someone has been hurt long enough, he begins to learn how to live with silence. At first, it's temporary. Then gradually, silence becomes comfortable. No more late-night arguments. No more guessing what she's angry about today. No more feeling like I'm always wrong, even after trying his best. Just a small room, a cup of coffee, and the sound of the wind outside the window. A kind of peace many men lost while still being in a relationship. So they begin to adapt. Need affection? They adopt a dog. Loyal, forgiving, and never betraying. Need connection? They have friends who share passions, work out together, drink beer together, and stay silent together. Need a sense of purpose? They build careers, focus on health, and invest in the future. Every need they once hoped a woman would fulfill, they now learn to meet on their own. And slowly, loneliness stops being an emptiness. It becomes a self-sustaining system, a closed yet peaceful space where they control their time, their money, their emotions, without fear of judgment or betrayal. Men, by nature, are survivors. When love becomes a danger zone, they don't run, they evolve. They build an armor called freedom, a place where no one can hurt them anymore. Loneliness, in that sense, is no longer a failure. It's the survival instinct of a soul once burned to ashes. It's when they stop needing to prove anything and just want to rest. Because sometimes peace is not when someone is beside you, but when you no longer have to defend yourself from the one you love. While men are learning to live peacefully with loneliness, women are being pulled into another spiral. The illusion of choice, social media, dating apps, and the false validation from the crowd together create a matrix that makes them believe they can choose anyone, anytime. All they need to do is open their phone and hundreds, even thousands of messages flood in. You're so beautiful. You drive me crazy. I want to meet you. And each of those short lines, small as they are, is a dose of dopamine, a signal that whispers, you are desired. But the truth is far from that. Those messages do not represent love. They are nothing more than fleeting attention from people seeking to escape boredom. A match is not a relationship. A compliment is not care. A like is not a promise. And yet, when someone is surrounded day after day by the feeling of being wanted, many begin to confuse self-worth with engagement metrics. They think they have countless choices, without realizing that among all those messages, very few truly intend to stay. That feeling of being chosen becomes a sweet addiction. It keeps them from stopping, from choosing one person, because they keep thinking, maybe someone better is waiting just one swipe away. It's like standing in the middle of a supermarket full of goods. The more you look, the more nothing seems perfect enough. They forget that happiness doesn't come from having many options, but from the ability to cherish one single choice. And then one day, when the phone screen goes dark, when no one is texting anymore, they realize those infinite choices never really existed. They were only reflections of loneliness, magnified by algorithms to make people believe they are loved. And when you live too long inside that illusion, it becomes hard to return to real love because you've grown used to being admired but have forgotten how to truly connect. If you think loneliness is only a problem for those who've been hurt, look at the younger generation today. Those who have never been in love yet are already exhausted. I receive so many messages from boys barely 18 or 19 years old. They've never had a serious relationship, yet in their voices there's a kind of weariness that should belong to someone who's lived 40 years. They say, I don't want to love anymore. Love feels like a trap now. Do you see it? A new generation is giving up before even beginning because they have witnessed too many collapses from the ones before them. They saw their fathers break down after divorce. They saw their brothers drained by relationships built only on demands. They saw their friends mocked for daring to be sincere, and they drew a cold conclusion: better to be alone than to become the next victim. They no longer believe that good people will be loved. They see that good people are used while the indifferent are desired, and so they choose to stay outside. Meanwhile, on the other side, many young women still live with the belief that someday I'll find a good man. They call it a backup plan. They think the man they once rejected will still be there, still waiting, just still open-hearted when they are finally ready. But the truth is that man is no longer there. He's changed. He's built his own life, a life that no longer needs them. He's found peace in his work, in discipline, and in the things he can control. He no longer needs anyone else to feel complete. And when she comes back, the door is already closed. Not out of hatred, but because there's no reason left to open it. That is the silent tragedy of this generation. One side awakens too soon, the other realizes too late. And love dies not because emotion has run out, but because no one dares to begin anymore. perhaps in the end, love never truly disappeared. It just became more awake. Because after all the arguments between the sexes, after the pain, misunderstandings, blame, and judgment, we've begun to see a simple truth. Reality doesn't care about your feelings. Men have learned to adapt. They've realized that happiness doesn't have to depend on a relationship, that freedom, peace, and self-respect are sometimes worth more than love itself. They no longer seek validation from the outside, no longer need to prove that they're fine. They are fine. They spend time on their careers, on themselves, and on the things they can control. They understand. Loneliness is not failure, it's proof of maturity. As for women, they begin to feel a kind of emptiness that no filter can hide, that no self-love status can fill, because they realize all those rights to choose, those infinite options ultimately mean nothing when no one wants to step forward anymore. And so we return to the beginning. A world where everyone craves to be loved, but no one has the courage to love. Maybe this isn't a sad ending. Maybe it's a necessary phase for humanity to relearn how to love in a more mature, more truthful, and less delusional way. Because perhaps true love isn't dead, it's just waiting. For humans to stop dreaming about the perfect person and start being grateful for the one who stays when we are not perfect. Love has never disappeared. It's just waiting for us to awaken from the dream called illusion. And one day, we will no longer look for someone to fill the emptiness, but simply hope to meet someone whose presence makes us feel whole. Because in the end, loving the right person doesn't overwhelm you, it brings you peace. And that's the content of this episode. If you feel a sense of resonance with these reflections, don't forget to follow the channel and stay tuned for the upcoming episodes. See you soon. Bye.